Hello everyone, I am Assistant Professor Jayendra Patel from Mechanical Engineering Department, Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. In this lecture of Indian Constitution, we are going to learn about the federal structure as per the Indian Constitution. We will understand how the federal structure is integrated in the India as per the Indian Constitution and what are the federal features and what are the unitary features of our Indian Constitution. So let us start with the basic introduction. Ki what are the types of governments available or say existing in this world? Basically, if we see about the types of the government based on the nature of the relation between the center and the state. Over here center means the national government or say central government, and the states means the state government. Over here I am talking about the states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, etc. So during this lecture, whenever we say states, states means our regular states. Okay, it is not about a definition of the state given in the Indian Constitution. So based on the nature of the relation between the center and the states, the political science has classified governments into unitary and federal. So these are the two basic types of governments as per the political science. Let us discuss about very first type of government, that is the unitary government. So in the unitary government, all the powers are vested in the center. That means all the powers are having national government, and if there is any regional government exists, they derives their authority from the national government. So there is no direct control of the state governments on their states. Okay, and normally the state government never exists. The most common examples are France, Britain, Japan, China, Italy, Belgium, Norway, Sweden, Spain, and there are lots of countries which are running with the unitary government system. And if we talk about India, we are having federal feature government with some of the unitary features in it. So we are having the combination of the government. Now the second type of government is the federal government. Now a federal government on the other hand is one in which the powers are divided between the national government and the regional governments. That means the state government or say provinces government. Now it is done by the constitution itself, and both operates in their respective jurisdiction independently. So basically state governments are also having their own power, national government are also having their own power, and the both are having their own jurisdiction. For example, we are having US, that is the United States of America, the Switzerland, Australia, Canada, Russia. Other than that, we are having Brazil, Argentina, and so on. They have the federal model of government. So this is the federal government and the previous one, the unitary government. Now what is the difference between both? The federal government is having the national government also, regional government also, both works independently. Okay, and the unitary government is the one which has a national government. All the powers are vested to the national government. Yes, the state government may exist, but they have to take the permission from the national government to work on. Clear? Now further, the federal government, we can say that the balanced government is there. Okay, there is a balance between the nation, which is called as center, and the states. Okay, both works parallelly. Now the word federal comes from the term fedus. Now this is a Latin word which means the treaty or agreement. Thus, a federation is a new state or say new political system which is formed through a treaty or an agreement between various units or various states. So, एक तरीके से आप बोलना चाहो तो बोल सकती हो कि नंबर्स ऑफ स्टेट्स मिलके कोई अग्रीमेंट करते हैं कि हम सभी साथ में रहेंगे और वर्क करेंगे, इन दैट केस अ फेडरल गवर्नमेंट मे बी फॉर्म्ड. दिस इज अ वन टाइप ऑफ फेडरल गवर्नमेंट. Clear? Now, the states available inside a federal government are known in a different way. Like in the USA, we know them as a United States of America. So each country of the federation is known as states over here. Okay. When we talk about the Switzerland, it is known as a cantons of the Switzerland. So the units of the federations are known by cantons in the Switzerland. Thirdly, in the Canada, the units are known as provinces. And finally, in the Russia, they are known as republics. So these are the various states of the Russia and they are known as republics. Clear? So there are various names like states, cantons, provinces and the republics. All are what? They are the part of the federal government and they work independently. Clear? Now let us check out the comparison between the federal governments and the unitary governments. So very firstly, in the federal government, we normally see the dual types of government system. That means a national government will be there as well as the regional government will be there. That means the state government will be there. When in the unitary government system, we are having the single government system, that is the national government, which may create regional governments. So it is not necessary that regional government must be there, but if necessary, the national government can create a regional government. Now the second difference is, in the federal government, there will be a written constitution because the federal government operates on a written constitution. But in case of unitary government, it is not necessary that we are having written constitution. The constitution may be written, may be unwritten. The France is having a written constitution and it is a unitary government. In the same time, the Britain is having an unwritten constitution, but still it is a unitary government. Now, the third difference is there is a division of power between the national and the regional government in the federal section. But whenever it comes to the unitary government, there is no division of the power. All the powers are vested in the national government only. Let us go to the next difference. In the federal government, we are having the supremacy of the constitution. Means the constitution is the supreme power of the government. But in case of unitary government, the constitution may be supreme. It is not necessary that it must be supreme. It may be supreme. Like we are having Japanese constitution is a supreme constitution, though it is a unitary government, and it may not be supreme like we are having Britain. Britain is having a constitution, unwritten constitution, but it is not supreme over there. In the Britain, we are having all the power in the hand of the Queen. Clear? So, unitary government is not necessarily to be following the constitution. The next difference is, in the federal government, there will be a rigid constitution. That means a constitution cannot be changed. It may be changed, but there will be a very harsh or say very time consuming process for doing that thing. When it comes to the unitary government, a constitution may be rigid like a France. A France constitution is a very rigid constitution. Or it may be flexible like a Britain constitution. It can be easily changed. In the Britain, the constitution can be easily changed. That's why it is known as a flexible constitution. So in the unitary government, it is not necessary that constitution must be rigid or must be flexible. It depends on the national government. The next difference is we are having independent judiciary in the federal government. So basically the judiciary is the independent organ of the federal government. But when it comes to unitary government, judiciary may be independent, may not be independent. The next difference is the legislature type. In the federal government, there will be a bicameral legislature. That means there will be the two houses of the legislature. When it comes to unitary government, legislature may be bicameral or unicameral. Unicameral means a single legislature. In case of the Britain, we are having bicameral legislature, but when it comes to China, China is having a unicameral legislature. So this was the basic comparison between the federal government as well as the unitary government. Now, once again, let me just revise each and everything. In the federal government system, we are having the two level of government. The very first government is the national government as well as the state government. Secondly, we are having the rigid constitution in the federal government. We are having the bicameral legislature as well as the independent judiciary. Okay, when it comes to unitary government, everything depends on the national government or say the highest power of that particular government. Okay, so there are chances that federal features may be there in the unitary government, but it is not necessary. Everywhere there is a maybe. Okay, there are options available in the unitary government. Now, let us understand how the federation can be formed. That means how the federal government can be formed. The very first way that it can be formed is coming together. That means in this case, a number of militarily weak or say economically backward states जो कि independent है, they come together to form a big and a strong union. For example, the United States. Now, in this case, the states enjoy the more autonomy. That means states are almost free to work on their own, but also they are having a strong center that operates on behalf of them. The second category is the holding together. Now, in this second case, a big unitary state is converted into a federation by granting autonomy to the provinces to promote the regional interest. That means initially there may be a weak nation that wants to convert their all state into autonomous states. So all the states will work autonomously and they will become stronger on their regional interest basis. The best example for such thing is the Canada. So in these types of federal governments, the powers are shared between the various provinces to accommodate the diversity in the whole entity. Here the powers are generally tilted towards the central authority. So basically हम कह सकते हैं कि हम फेडरल नेशन दो अलग अलग तरीकों से बना सकते हैं. सबसे पहला तरीका है जो कि वीक स्टेट है यानी कि इकोनॉमिकली बैकवर्ड स्टेट्स है, उन सभी स्टेट्स को एक साथ ले आए और उनको मिला के हम एक फेडरल नेशन बनाए, बट यहाँ पे सभी स्टेट अपनी ऑटोनॉमी एंजॉय कर सकते हैं. और दूसरा तरीका है अगर कोई कंट्री है, कोई नेशन है जिनमें डिफरेंट प्रोविंसेस अवेलेबल हैं, बट देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ डाइवर्सिटीज एंड इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेंटेन द रीजनल इंटरेस्ट. इन दैट केस जो कंट्री है वो क्या करेगी, सभी स्टेट को ऑटोनोमस डिक्लेयर कर देगी और उनका एक फेडरेशन बना देगी और कंट्री विल बी द सेंट्रल पावर एंड सभी स्टेट के पास अपनी अपनी पावर होगी जिनसे उनका डेवलपमेंट अपने आप होगा. सो दीज आर द वे ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द फेडरेशन. टॉकिंग अबाउट द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द फेडरल सिस्टम, द यूएस यानी कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स इज द फर्स्ट एंड द ओल्डेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड. It was formed in 1787 following the American Revolution, which was happened in 1775 to 1783. Now, originally there were only 13 states. They came together and created a federation. And currently, as we can see, it comprises of 50 states. 50 states हैं and it is taken as the model of federation worldwide. Secondly, we are having the example of the Canadian Federation as we discussed. Okay, it comprises of 10 different provinces. Now, originally there were only 4 provinces and is a quite old. It was formed in 1867. So these were two examples of the federal states. Now, when we talk about the India, now India is basically having the federal features with the unitary features also. So India has not accepted only federation feature, it has also adapted some of the unitary features. But mostly it has created a federal system in Indian Constitution. So let us discuss why India has accepted the federal system. Now, the Indian Constitution provides the federal system of the government in the country, but it also has some unitary features in it, as we discussed. Okay, now the framers adopted the federal system due to two main reasons. Very first reason is there is a very large size of the country and it is socio-economically as well as culturally diversified. There are many societies exist, many cultures exist, okay, and the economy of each and every part, even the geography of each and every part is different. That's why we adapted the federal system so that a state can develop by their own. As per the constitutional framers, the second most important reason to adapt the federal system was that they realized that the federal system not only ensures the efficiency of the government of the country, but it also reconciles the national unity with regional autonomy. दैट मीन्स रीजनल ऑटोनॉमी तो रहेगी, स्टेट वाइज अपनी अपनी ऑटोनॉमी तो रहेगी, लेकिन हमारा जो बेसिक फीचर्स है एक भारत यानी कि एक इंडिया वो भी मेंटेन रहेगा. बट ओवर हियर देयर इज वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग टू नोटिस. इन द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन द वर्ड फेडरल इज यूज्ड नोवेयर. इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट द पार्ट 1 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, द आर्टिकल 1 says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. So we are using the word union of states instead of the federal. So remember that it is not a proper federal nation. We are having a union of state. We are having numbers of state together. That means integrated together. Clear? Secondly, according to the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is known as the father of Indian Constitution, the phrase union of state, the phrase union of state, union of state has been preferred to the federation of the state to indicate two major things. Very first thing, the Indian Federation is not the result of an agreement among the states like the American Federation. This is the very first reason why we are using the union of states. And the second reason, as per Baba Saheb Ambedkar, is the states have no right to secede from the federation. The federation is a union because it is indestructible. So over here we can say that कि हमने फेडरेशन ऑफ द स्टेट यूज नहीं किया है, हमने यूज किया है यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट बिकॉज ऑफ टू मेजर रीजंस. द वेरी फर्स्ट रीजन इज दैट हमने सभी स्टेट्स के साथ कोई अग्रीमेंट नहीं किया है कि आप सब साथ में आ जाओ हम एक नेशन बनाते हैं. इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट. एंड सेकेंड थिंग कि किसी भी स्टेट को इंडिया नेशन से अलग होने की परमिशन नहीं है, यानी कि इंडिया एक इनडिस्ट्रक्टिबल नेशन है, उसमें से कोई भी स्टेट अलग नहीं हो सकता. दैट इज वाई वी आर यूजिंग द वर्ड यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट, नॉट द वर्ड फेडरेशन ऑफ द स्टेट. सो बेसिकली द इंडियन फेडरल सिस्टम इज बेस्ड ऑन द कैनेडियन मॉडल. वी आर नॉट यूजिंग द अमेरिकन मॉडल ऑफ द फेडरल सिस्टम. Now the question is, what is the difference between the American and the Canadian model? The Canadian model differs fundamentally from the American model in so far as it establishes a very strong center, though it is a federal system. In India, we are also having a very strong center. Still, we are using a federal system. So, we strongly resemble the Canadian model, not the American model. Now, why I am saying that we resemble the Canadian model? Because in India, we are having similarity of its formation. That means in India, we have adopted the disintegration system. The same is there in the Canadian Federation. Secondly, it preference to the term union. Okay, we also prefer the term union, and the Canadian Federation also called the Union of Canada. And thirdly, its centralizing tendency. That means wasting more powers in the center compared to the states, and we are also having the same thing. So we are having most of the similarity of the Canadian Federation. That's why we can say that we are basically resembling the Canadian Federation.